What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, saucy, tender, amazing Texas-style spare ribs on the pellet grill. Coming up. These are some ribs. Pat them dry. And what I got here is a rack of full spare ribs, the pork rib of choice for Texas style barbecue. And I think pork ribs is a great place to start if you're new to a pellet grill or any kind of smoker for that matter, because it's a quick cook, a lot quicker than a pork butt or a brisket or something like that. And there's a lot of wiggle room with pork ribs. You know, if they're really tight, you can be like, you gotta love that toothsome texture. And if they're super tender, you can just be like, you know, everyone loves falling off the bone, so no matter what your skill level is, you know, you can kind of fake it till you make it. But like I mentioned, these are the full spare ribs, meaning that they've still got this big old bone on the back side. We've got the skirt here, membrane on, and there are a few different types of ribs out there. You know, these are the full spare, which is basically bone-in pork belly. You've also got baby back ribs, which is bone-in pork loin. And then you've got St. Louis cut ribs, which is basically this exact same rack, except it's cut down very short and square, so you lose all this top meat. But this is the rib of choice in Central Texas because they're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit fattier, and they take really well to some low and slow smoking. But we do need to trim them up. Starting by taking off this big breastbone on the back, and if you look, you can see it right there. And right next to it, you see some cartilage. So we're just gonna kind of aim right there and just make a straight line and zip that thing right on off. Comes off very easily, just a little bit of cartilage to cut through there. This makes for a great little pit snack, or you can, you know, debone it and save this meat for sausage or something. But if you leave it on, this is a solid bone, so you're not gonna be able to cut your ribs. While we're on the back side, we'll go ahead and take down this skirty flat meat a little bit, just because it can cook up kind of weird. It's really thin, you know, it'll crisp up, you get some rub and not get much smoke flavor underneath there, so better to take it off. But if you're feeling lazy and want a more rustic rib, I suppose you could leave it on, but makes for a great snack or sausage as well. Also gonna square up this side, just kind of find the tiniest little baby bone and just square that up. This is really thin, it's gonna curl up on you a lot and kind of burn up. So we're just gonna try and make this look a little bit prettier. Per usual, I'm a membrane on kind of guy. It doesn't really bother me much when it's on there. It should crisp up nicely, especially on this pit. And there's a lot of fat underneath there, which will stay in there if we leave the membrane on, as opposed to just dripping off and making a mess of everything and giving us a less juicy rib. So we're gonna flip this rack over. It's looking really good already. Again, if we were doing St. Louis cut ribs, we'd basically follow this seam line right here, or find the top of the bones. Actually, it's a little lower than that, so it would be something like that. So you'd end up with a super short rib, but we like this meat on top. I'm gonna shape it up a little bit, get rid of the tapered kind of feathered edge here. Just making everything look squared up and nice and pretty. Rounding off any corners. And that is pretty much a perfect looking rack of Texas style spare ribs to me. Sometimes there is this little muscle over here. We've got a tiny one on there, which you don't really have to worry about, but if you pull that up, we don't really want that on there. That'll kind of burn up and get too crispy, so we'll snip that off. But other than that, very straightforward, easy trim, and these should yield some really nice, big, smoky, juicy, tender pork ribs. And when it comes to seasonings for your ribs, you can use literally whatever you like. If you're brand new to smoking, I'd say just grab a rub off the shelf, you know, make it real easy for yourself, but sometimes it can get kind of cakey, but most of the time it's gonna work out just fine. But here in Central Texas, for a classic spare rib, a lot of the times you're gonna see just good old-fashioned salt and pepper, which is what I'm gonna do today. Keeping it simple, but also with salt and pepper, we're gonna get a really good idea of how much smoke color we're gonna get on these ribs without having to rely on paprika or something in the rub to add color. And if they do end up looking really pale, we're probably gonna add a barbecue sauce at the end anyway. So simply enough, grab yourself some Diamond Crystal kosher salt. I'm gonna just do a nice, even coverage on this thing. And again, it may take a little bit of time to get the perfect eyeball of how much salt to use, which is why I suggest using a rub if you're new to the game. But with Diamond Crystal, it's kind of hard to over season, so don't be too scared. But if you're using Morton's or table salt or something, you may want to use a little bit less than what you see me doing here. And then on top of that, we're gonna go down with some 16 mash black pepper. Honestly, I kind of like bigger pepper than this on ribs, but I don't have any on hand, so this will have to do, but not nearly as much pepper as salt. But again, this is all kind of personal preference right now, but I'm not really aiming for a brisket type bark, which is why I'm not using like a SPG or something like that. It's nice to have complete control. Pat that in, flip it over, and do the same to the top side. Nice, even dustage. Doing our best to not forget the sides, but really not all that important on ribs because there's not really many sides to go with. Plus we're gonna get bone pullback anyway, so as long as you're getting top and bottom, you should be a-okay. And of course, our black pepper. And I really kind of want to put garlic powder on this, but I think I'm gonna resist for today, just so we can really get the full flavor of the pellet grill. Looking good to me. I like to go salt first because that's gonna draw some moisture out of the meat, which will then in turn help the pepper stick, because we've got a little bit of time to let that smoker heat up, which will allow all that salt to start working on the meat, but already, you know, nothing's really falling off. But here they shall sit for the next probably 10-15 minutes while we go ahead and get that pit heated up. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. Boop. So it's been about 15 minutes waiting for this thing to heat up, and it's not looking good. According to the dealie here, it's still at 32 degrees, which makes no sense because it is 60 degrees out here. So something's not working. So I'm gonna have to take it apart and take a look in here. Not a good look for the pellet grill series so far, folks. It's dumping pellets, but nothing is igniting. I think I'm gonna turn it off, clean that out, and fire it back up and see what happens. All right, the thingy is all cleaned out. Thing is off. Now we're gonna try this again and hope for the best. Start. 350, sure, we'll leave it there and just hope this works. All right, looks like we got some good news. I'm seeing sparks flying and we've got flame. That is very convenient. Had me really worried there for a minute. All right, we're back up and running. Temps are climbing, so now it's time to throw on our ribs. So on the pit we go. We're gonna go up top, right in the middle today to get these started off. And I got this thing fired up to 200 degrees, which is pretty lower and slower than I typically do on an offset. But the thought process here is to put them on lower. Hopefully they'll get more smoke on them because that seems to be an issue with pellet grills. So low and slow for the first little bit, get some more smoke on them, hopefully help with the color, and then we'll bump the temps up in a little bit. I will say I am very glad that that thing started working because I was pretty nervous for a minute there. It would have been real awkward if I just started a pellet grill series and the thing dies on episode 1, and not a good look for pellet grills worldwide. But I'm not really sure what happened. You know, when I went to clean it out, the igniter wasn't even hot. You know, I assumed that maybe there's a lot of ash in there, so it was just having a hard time igniting the pellets. But I had my hand in there. That thing wasn't even hot at all. So maybe it's because I tried to start it at 200 degrees, which is too low, but I mean, it would still get hot. I have no idea, but maybe I do need to clean this thing out before every fire up, but I'm not really too familiar with proper pellet grill protocol. So please let me know if this has ever happened to you before, but everything seems to be working well again, so that is good. Although now we're an hour behind schedule, which is not great. But I'll also say that this is a perfect kind of a day to be using a pellet grill because if you can't tell, it is actively raining and my legs are getting wet, which is not a great way to use this offset behind me. And this might be a really good use case scenario for this thing because I can spend the day inside monitoring temps from my phone as opposed to, you know, fire management in the rain all day. But like I said, the game plan is start out low and slow, hopefully get a little extra smoke flavor on these ribs, and then we'll check back in a little bit. Another question I got on the last video was, what am I doing with the baffle? Because this thing does have a movable baffle in the bottom here. And as you can see, I've got stuff over here and I'm planning on putting some more pieces of kit right next to that. So I don't plan on using the baffle. For my brief amount of research, it seems to really not be all that effective and mostly used for the grilling capabilities of this pit. So my game plan is to just leave it pushed all the way in at all times and learn how to cook on the pit that way. So when I eventually put another grill right here and I don't have access to it, I'm not relying on it. But if you have any experience with this pit, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But here we are with the most convenient part about pellet grills is this thing is running 212 degrees at the moment, and I don't have to stay out here and babysit it. So I'm gonna go inside on this gross rainy day and I'm gonna do some video editing and computer work and let these ribs cook away. 1 hour later, let's take a look at these ribs. This pit has been holding pretty consistent temperatures, spiked up a little bit, dipped below a little bit, but that's kind of the nature of these things from what I understand. But let's see how they're looking 1 hour in. Ooh, getting a good amount of sizzle and drippage already, which is pretty surprising for cooking at such a low temperature. But color is looking good. They're starting to plump up a little bit. Got those weird splotches that always happen with ribs. Not sure what that's about, but looking nice and smoky, feeling firm. Honestly, they look a lot further along than I was expecting for an hour at 200 degrees. Underside looking pretty good. You know, let's just see what temperature they're rocking just for funsies here. 150 degrees. Wow, that's cooking really quickly. I was gonna bump the temps up, which I think I'm gonna do anyway, but that seems pretty quick for an hour. Interesting. But I'm not gonna change anything. Pop these back in the same spot. I'm gonna bump the temps up to 250 degrees. Let these bad boys continue to smoke away. Hopefully that'll speed up the cook a little bit, add some more smoke, but mostly we gotta bump the temps up because we wanna make sure these are nice and tender and get some good fat rendering. So I'm gonna shut this down, let it go for another hour. We are about 3, maybe 3.5 hours into this cook, and it's finally time to take another look at these bad boys. I did come through and flip them around about, I don't know, 45 minutes ago because this side was cooking a lot hotter than that side. And as you can see, that's nice and squishy, so I wanted this side to catch up. But honestly, color is looking good, and they've been probing really hot the whole time. Which is interesting, because usually a rack of ribs that size on my offset cooking at 275 degrees would take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to cook. On the Chud box, I'm usually cooking around 300 degrees, and that takes about 3 hours to cook. But we've been cooking at 250, if not 200, for this entire cook, and they're already probing upward of 200 degrees, and I could have wrapped them an hour ago, but I was worried they didn't get enough smoke or color on them yet. They're feeling a little tight still, even though they're reading really hot, like 203 at some places internal. So I'm gonna wrap them up, which will hopefully soften them up a little bit, help them tenderize, and hopefully we got enough smoke flavor on there already. So off these come. Again, ow, that's really hot. Loving the color. I decided not to flip these at any point because the underside was getting plenty of good color as well, which is a nice thing about this cooker. But these are coming off to rest. And by rest, I mean wrap up. But I mean, just looking at the bend on these don't feel all that tender yet, which is why I've been going by feel instead of by temp, because again, these are really hot internal. So could leave these as is, but I'm gonna bust out some Leroy & Lewis beet barbecue sauce for a little extra flavor. But we're just making some classic ribs today. You can do whatever you like. But I haven't had a good barbecue saucy rib in a minute. Beautiful. Flip these over. We'll sauce the underside as well. On second thought, maybe I should have flipped these because this underside's looking a little darker than anticipated, but nothing's burned, which is a good thing. And we're just gonna wrap them up. Beautiful. So now I'm gonna pop these back on the smoker for probably another 30 minutes or so, just until they start to steam in here and soften up a little bit more. And I'm a little concerned, you know, this is feeling a lot different than my typical rack of ribs, but it's a new cooker. So on the pit these go, and we'll check back in a little bit. Still maintaining 250 degrees. We're gonna go bone side up, meat side down, and let these cook away. And just like that, about half an hour later, we are at 4 hours and 12 minutes to be exact on this cook, but these are feeling a lot softer, definitely steamed up a little bit, looking more juicy, and you can see all that steam in there really softened them up. So now I'm gonna pull these off, let them rest down, and then we'll slice on in. Oh, that's so hot, ow! And after a nice little rest down, out these come. Looking absolutely beautiful, you know, pretty decent color, a little splotchy, but that can happen with ribs. Nice and red though, barbecue sauce definitely helped with that. Not much juice left in here though, but all in all, pretty easy, simple cook. Although I will admit that it just dropped about 20 degrees outside and it is still actively raining, and it's a very gross day to be outside, but luckily I was inside all day on the couch. So one of the major benefits of pellet grills, and if you can make barbecue that looks like that, you know, pretty easy way to make some good food on a rainy day. But per usual, it's all about how they taste. So let's go ahead and slice these up. One last little close up. Decent smoke ring on there, looking tender, looking pretty juicy. Loving the color on there though, nice and red. Pretty happy with them. It is interesting if you look at them, there's so much smoke ring on the top, which makes sense because there's like a bone on the bottom, but that's a thick one, you know what I mean? Hopefully these should be nice and smoky. Let's find out. Bottoms up. Ooh, that's a pretty good rib. Very tender, obviously, but stays on the bone. So good cook on that, even if it was a little bit weird, but that makes sense. I'm not used to that cooker all that much, especially when it comes to ribs, but nice and porky, nice and fatty. It would appear the sauce completely just disappeared though, you know, these don't look like sauced ribs, but definitely got a little sweetness to them. I kind of like the fact that they're not super wet, but that just means most of it probably cooked into the wrap. Let's take a look. Yeah, decent amount in there. All in all, for how easy it was, this is a pretty dang good rib. Oh yeah. I'm a little smoke blind over the years, but they're definitely not jumping out as super smoky ribs. So I think for the average person, these are just fine, but I'm not really picking up on much smoke flavor. But also there's no bad smoke flavor. You know, a lot of times when I do like a Weber kettle or a charcoal grill rib, you get that smoldering wood chunk flavor that's just trying to mimic what an offset tastes like. This doesn't have any off flavors like that. And to be honest, it is kind of nice to have something that's not just, you know, super smoky. All in all, if I do this again, I probably might try out the pellet tube just to get a little more smoke flavor, because I think if this had a little bit more of a punch to it, it would be a little bit more akin to a Texas barbecue rib. But all honesty, for as quick and easy of a cook that was, these are a good kind of like weeknight rib kind of meal, you know what I mean? It's not going to set you back with the amount of smokiness. They're not over the top flavorful, but they're tender, they're cooked properly, they're seasoned well. So really not too much to complain about here. Pretty good. Brooke.
Yes.
Welcome to the cold, windy outside. Sorry I took you away from your cozy couch to be out here.
I know, I have a heated blanket.
Would you like to try a smoky barbecue spare rib?
Yeah, is this one for me?
No, that's the one I just took a bite of. I mean, you can have it if you want.
Okay. I feel like it's not as smoky.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you like that?
I don't like overpowering smoke, you know?
It's kind of what I was just saying, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily compare it to an offset smoked rib, but I could see a time where I would want these, as opposed to...
These aren't as tender as the normal ones.
Really? Mm-hmm. Mine were tender. You're on the thin end,
Okay,
though.
maybe it's just the one I ate. I'll try this one now. Round toot.
Ooh.
Okay. That's tender.
Yeah. I didn't even try one on the thin end. So good.
Yeah, flavor is there.
Right to the bone.
Yeah. Okay, so you just did like your normal.
Salt, pepper, a little bit of barbecue sauce on there. Although somehow all the barbecue sauce got removed from the ribs. Not sure how that happened. Did they taste saucy at all to you?
Not saucy, but like I can taste the flavor of a barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not.
A little bit of sweetness in there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind painting a little extra on there, but you know, my face is clean for the most part, so that's always nice.
Yeah. That one you could be convinced it was pellet. This one, no.
So if you want to convince someone that you cooked it on an offset, just give them the thick, juicy rib, as opposed to the very end small cut.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see doing this again. You know, like a day like today, I keep saying, is a perfect day to bust out the pellet grill if you're in the mood for ribs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crappy out here.
Not ideal.
Nope.
Down.
All right. I need a napkin.
Okay. So all in all, when it comes to ribs on a pellet grill, I'd give these probably a 9 out of 10 on the rib scale because the salt is there, the pepper is there, the tenderness, the texture is there. It's hard to find an easier cook than that. The only thing that's lacking is just a little bit of depth in the smoke flavor, but I think we could fix that with a smoke tube, or next time I do these, I'll probably just cook them at 200 or maybe even a little bit lower for the first few hours or maybe even the whole time because these shot up from like room temp to 150 degrees in about an hour, which is pretty quick. Definitely not something I was expecting there. But other than that, you know, color, flavor, fat render. This is a good rib. But before I knock out a couple more of these, I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely fantastic Texas-style spare ribs on the pellet grill. I highly recommend giving this one a try. You know, I am really judging these under a microscope, trying to find the differences. But the fact of the matter is, I've had worse ribs coming off of an offset before, and these are super simple ribs. It's just salt and pepper with a little bit of barbecue sauce, so the smoke is a pretty heavy flavor component in these ribs. But I think moving forward, if I'm gonna do a rack of ribs with a really flavorful sauce, like a pepper jelly or a sweet and sour or something like that, then the pellet grill is a great option. And good to know, something I'll be keeping in my back pocket for sure. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.